You may never have heard of the African Development Bank, but the unit of the World Bank is playing a key role in bringing investments into the continent. While the bank's member nations are preparing to elect a new president for the first time in a decade. Tony Carroll, Vice President of Manchester Trade, joins us now from Washington, D.C., who's going to help explain how important this bank is. Tony, first, give us an overview of what the Development Bank does.
Well, the Development Bank's been in operations for 50 years. Over the course of its 50 years, it's loaned money, $167 billion over the entire of its tenure, to African governments, African businesses. They have two pools of money, similarly structured to the World Bank. They have a concessional window, like an IDA window, for those countries that are very poor. And then they have a regular lending arm to other more advanced or middle-income countries. They also have emboldened themselves to be more aggressive in the private sector space, mirroring some of the activities of the IFC here, the private part of the World Bank Group, to, in effect, provide funds for more private sector initiatives, providing guarantees, providing investments, equity investments in various projects and in funds.
And it's been very big, specifically in infrastructure and technology. And one of the interesting areas that I saw is sort of a risk management part of the bank, which is relatively new from what I understand, which is basically it backstops investors against political losses.
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're mirroring many of those type of facilities that are available through the World Bank Group, through U.S. and other bilateral risk guarantee organizations that do provide private investors with some comfort. And I think the comfort is not only just from a financial numeric sense, it's the notion that having an African institution as a guarantor of your investment to prevent against expropriation or other activities might give you some political leverage if you need it.
The current president and outgoing president, Donald Karbuka, has been credited with bringing modern financial tools to the bank. Has he gone far enough, do you think?
Well, in light of your previous commentator, perhaps not enough. But look, I think what he has done is not get in the way of Africa's rise. I think he's created an institution that's more nimble than it had been in the past, more sensitive to the needs of the private sector, more current in terms of financial instruments that they've evolved. And I think it's been a more effective organization to, in effect, really support Africa's rise.
All right, we have a graphic here of the candidates, and I want to sort of handicap who you think could possibly get the job and if there's going to be any changes. And while it is the African Development Bank, we should say that the United States and the UK are major shareholders of this bank.
60% of the shares are owned by African sovereign governments and 40% non-African, of which the U.S. is the largest non-African, Nigeria being the largest African shareholder.
And you know, how important is this election? Do you think that any particular candidate stands out and that there may be any changes that they may make?
Well, I think they will all bring their particular interests. If you read their mission statements, you'll see that they more or less surround the same set of issues: governance, more a modern orientation, supporting African global value chains, and these sort of current issues that I think revolve around Africa's place in the growing place in the world economy. But I think they all bring specific sort of skill sets. I'm, not much of a handicapper. I tend to lose when I go to the horse races. But I do think that it's sort of revolving around about 4 top candidates right now.
Okay. Tony Carroll, the election is held next month, so we'll have you back on soon to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ahead, it's the penalty box for an ESPN sports reporter and our favorite person of the day. You're watching Arise Exchange. Stay with us.